don't jump onto a cut if you're starting with a skinny fat physique. Now, I hate saying like blanket statements like, hey, don't do it this way, try this instead. And as you can tell in the fitness industry, there's a lot of do this, not this. Annoyingly, that's what gets the most views, but I'm going to use that in my way to give you as much information I think is helpful as possible. So if you're skinny fat and you're watching this, which is quite likely, you're faced with that kind of dilemma. You've got a lack of muscle, but you've still got body fat you dislike. Maybe it's around the double chin, which I'm starting to realize I've got now. Maybe it's the side of your chest, maybe it's your lower belly, maybe your arms are pudgy, maybe your lower back's pudgy, maybe it's a mixture of the lot, maybe you've just got a big belly, but you still want muscle as well. Either way, there's body fat on your physique that you're currently not happy with. And what a lot of men in this stage will do, they go, right, well, I'll go on a bulk. And then when they do that bulk, what's going to happen on a bulk is you inevitably gain fat. If you're eating in a calorie surplus, there's going to be a small amount of body fat gain, depending on the genetics, starting point, and how much of a calorie surplus you're eating and how active you are. There's so many things to factor in, but either way, prolonged period of time of calorie surplus, you're going to gain body fat, right? Which means all these areas that you dislike currently are only going to get bigger. So I'd always advise anyone that's got a skinny fat physique to avoid starting with a bulk. I know it's tempting. I know that once you gain muscle, technically it's going to be easier to lose body fat, but you're going to gain more body fat than you think, and it's going to take longer than you think to lose it. And if your default physique is skinny fat, you're very likely to lose a lot of that muscle when you do that cut. So why have I titled this video, Don't Cut then? What should I bloody do? What are you getting at, man? This fitness industry, carbs are good, carbs are bad. You know, keto's good. No, it isn't. Don't do it, do it, do it. I get it. The fitness industry is a bit of a mess. So when I say don't cut, what I mean by a cut is what's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say go on a cut, right? You think massive calorie deficit, no carbs, lots of salads, loads of cardio potentially, lots of running, gym classes, you know, keto, all this stuff. When people hear the word cut, they immediately think of like a massive diet, right? You'd be correct. That is essentially what a cut is. Now, if you're skinny fat, the reason I don't recommend you do that is if you take a skinny fat physique and you go into a massive calorie deficit, right? Some people fast or they start cutting out a whole food group, like they go keto, just drop all carbs. At the start, you're going to think this is working, right? Because your scale weight's going to come down. You might look and feel leaner, but that's normally down to the fact that you're just eating less food, so you're going to weigh less. It's not necessarily fat loss at this stage. And then eventually, you're going to start to run on empty. The performance in the gym is going to be whack, and then you're going to start to see that you're losing muscle, and then you're getting more and more skinny while still losing a bit of body fat, but not as much as you might think. So you kind of end up with a skinnier fat physique, right? It's still not what you want. So you're kind of going backwards even more, whether you go on a bulk or a cut. This is sounding like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So instead of doing a cut, and the reason I say don't cut when you're skinny fat is you're much better off focusing on a recomposition. Now I already know, and I already get this in every video, like I always get these comments saying, oh, but that's still a cut. And yeah, do you know what? I'm not even going to BS you. It's basically a cut, but there's a few key differences. With the recomposition, what we're focusing on is losing body fat and gaining muscle, recompositioning the body, which is easier said than done. And I'm always blunt and straight and honest with you. It depends on your genetics as well, right? I'll put up a client. I always do this. Client Reese, he did a perfect recomp. This is a full-on recomp. That was no bulk included. We had a very small calorie deficit. We just focused all in on a recomp, and he was able to lose all of his belly, all of his body fat, gain muscle throughout the whole process. Now, has he got great genetics? Not really, to be honest with you, but he did do the job, right? So I'm not going to say anyone and everyone can get that kind of result immediately. I'd love to do that. That's what fitness YouTubers do. They're like, give me $7,000 and I'll give you this result. It's not how it works. That's the kind of result you can get with a recomposition if you do it right. Now, of course, Reese had me coaching him, so it was a little bit different, but what we did in principle to achieve that result was a smaller calorie deficit, right? And the reason behind this is if you're trying to gain muscle and lose body fat and you're still quite new to the gym, you've still got newbie gains that you can potentially get in the gym because you're still quite new. So all the stimulus is still technically overload, right? So your muscles will respond in a positive favor. So if you had a massive calorie deficit, like 1,000 calorie deficit, then the chances of you gaining muscle in that kind of a deficit is pretty much nil. Whereas if your deficit is somewhere between like, 300, 500 calories per day, that's still a hefty amount, but it's still not crazy, right? It's still low enough to lose body fat, but not too low that your performance in the gym is going to suffer, that you're not going to recover very well. And it also means that there's less likelihood of you going catabolic and waste away muscle tissue because the calorie deficit is more subtle. And that's literally what we did with Reese. Did the same thing with my client Shane here. Instead of, he's quite a big eater and he actually got free fast food because he worked at a fast food place for a while. So, he kind of had to fit that into his diet, and we did. But if his calories were like 1,200, ain't no way he's going to make that work. He's going to burn out. He's going to be drinking too many energy drinks to get through the day. It's just not going to work, right? So we had a slightly higher calorie target, somewhere between like 1,800 to 2,000, and he was still able to lose body fat, gain a little bit of muscle, and get stronger. When you're cutting, you're generally sort of just burning and running on empty to get shredded, right? And there is a time and a place for that, of course. But if you're skinny fat and you just jump into that cut, you're probably going to do more damage than good. And I'm speaking from experience. I started off very skinny, did a bit of a dirty bulk, gained a lot of fat quite easily as well, which is annoying. I did a horrible cut that made me hate my life, and I thought it was crap, and I thought it was just horrible. If you've done a cut like that before, like where you drop the calories down massively, you already know what I'm talking about. And I basically just got really skinny, and I wasn't very happy. And I realized that all the muscle that I gained, I basically lost in that cut because I went too extreme on the calorie surplus and just got fat. And then I just dropped the calories right down stupid low numbers and I lost all the muscle and a lot of body fat as well. So having a smaller calorie deficit means that you're more likely to keep muscle and potentially gain it if you're quite new, which again, I'm not just chatting rubbish here. I like to give proof and examples. I'll probably just put up a bunch of transformations that have done that. All these transformations here will be a small calorie deficit. We actually don't even do any cardio either. Now, cardio is healthy and it's good and it's worth doing. But again, a conventional cut would be lots of cardio, loads of salad, massive calorie deficit. If you're doing cardio and you're skinny fat, again, you're probably not going to gain muscle and you're more likely to lose it in the long term. Will you get fitter? Yes. Is it healthy? Yes, of course, you should do it. But if you do too much of it or do it, before every workout, you're then spending all your limited calories, carbs, glycogen on cardio. And then when it comes to the lifts, you're now not going to have as much strength. And if your strength is whack, why would your muscles need to get bigger and stay the size they are whilst you're eating less food? They're just going to atrophy and get smaller or go catabolic. Doing a cut as a skinny fat guy is probably not the best option. So how do you do a recomp? Very, very simply put, you need to know your calories, you need to know your numbers. And this is mandatory. If you're trying to lose body fat and keep muscle and potentially gain it, if you eat in a massive calorie deficit, you're going to lose muscle. If you eat in a calorie surplus or maintenance, you're going to get nowhere. So we need to make sure that you're eating just below your maintenance, that you have good energy, you can stick to it long enough, you can lose body fat and keep as much muscle and potentially gain it. We need to know those numbers. Now, I put together a free nutritional blueprint in the bio. I've literally had hundreds, if not thousands of people download this now, and I've had some really good feedback on it. There's no magic. It's just a guide so you can work out your numbers properly and then also know how to adjust them and how to set your macros. You can use online calculators, but 9 times out of 10, a client comes to me, we work with them and they tell me their numbers and they've told me the calculation they've used and it's normally wrong and I always have to adjust it because calculators don't take into fact, how much body fat have you got, how much muscle have you got, what are your goals, where are you starting, where are you trying to get to, and a lot of times they'll tell you to eat like, oh, you want to lose weight? Here's 1,200 calories. You can lose 3 pounds a week. Cool. 2 pounds of that is bloody muscle, mate. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, so you can download the free nutritional blueprint. It's just going to break down the numbers the exact way that I'd set them up for my clients. And it will also give you some advice on how to adjust them and how to set your macros based on your body and your goals. So you can use that and guarantee that those numbers are correct. And to be honest with you, that's going to get you 80% of the way there. So we want a small calorie deficit. So we've got enough energy to perform, recover, and potentially gain muscle. And it's just a better quality of life. It's going to be easier to stick to it if you do it this way as well. So then when it comes to training, what's generally the best protocol? Now, the reason I always point to my client results over here is because I've been with them every single step of the way. So I can go, here's exactly what they did to get this result. Here's proof. I'm not just talking in blanket statements. I'm not just saying, oh, here's what I did, so it must work for everyone. All these people are different. They've got different genetics, different lifestyles, different starting points, different goals, different experience. Some of these people have been in the gym for 3 years and got nowhere. Some of them have just started. So it's always different. So the common theme with their training is that we did mainly resistance training. Pretty much none of them do cardio. If they do cardio, it's off their own choice. If they want to go hiking, if they want to chuck in a run here and there for fun, by all means, it would definitely speed up the process. But I very rarely prescribe cardio unless there's a particular goal that requires it, right? And the reason for that is if they're going to the gym 2, 3, 4 days a week and they're smashing each muscle group properly and tracking it within an app or on a notepad, and then we're reviewing it each week so we can see those progressions, that paired with a small calorie deficit with high protein is a game changer. You're literally going to drop body fat and gain muscle rapidly. Now, don't get me wrong, this will stop eventually. We all hit plateaus, the body adapts, your body gets used to things, it will plateau. That's why we track everything. If you know your numbers with your food and you know your numbers in the gym, once you plateau, you can go, right, cool, maybe I need to drop my carbs a little bit. Maybe I need to increase my protein. Maybe I need to add a little bit more volume to my training. Maybe I need to increase the reps and weight on this movement. Maybe I actually need to improve my form. Maybe I'm swinging the weights around like an idiot. So this is what I go through with my clients. We'll review all this every single week to make sure they're making progress, because these little 1-2% increases and improvements every single week, compounded over months, if not years, is going to give you the best result possible. What you don't want to do is just go to the gym, have a go on the machines because they're available, swing the weights around and wing it, and then come home and have a protein shake and think that's it. It's just not going to do it. And I'm saying that from experience. I did that for 6 years. I moan about people being naive with training. I'm a hypocrite because I did it for 6 years. I thought, oh, I know what I'm doing, mate. Yeah, I'll just have protein shakes, chicken, broccoli and rice. I'll prep it for work. I'll go to the gym 5 days a week, every muscle group. Yeah, 6 years. I'll put the photos up, mate. Here's my 6-year transformation. Look at that. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Then I started tracking my calories, tracking my workouts, paying attention to overload, adjusting the numbers. That was 9 months transformation. And then here's the most current transformation. So knowing your numbers, tracking and progressing over time, and not just jumping from cut to bulk and one extreme to the other, is generally the key. So what I normally do with my clients, I specialize with skinny fat guys, is we get them on a recomposition first. We drop the body fat down strategically whilst gaining muscle and strength and conditioning. Then once they're lean enough, we reverse diet so we can add some size and strength without adding any body fat. And then we go into a very small calorie surplus and basically main gain throughout the year. So we're adding size, strength and muscle while still keeping it lean, so that if a holiday pops up, they're not panicking thinking they need to do another mini cut. They're not bulking and going, oh, the body fat's high, I need to jump on a cut. Because if you keep jumping from cuts to bulk, you're basically doing 2 steps forward, 2 steps back and getting nowhere. I've done this for years. I've worked with clients that have done it for years. And I even know some really good coaches that have great physiques, but they've looked the same for the past 5, 6, 7 years because they just do a massive cut and a massive bulk and they just look the same every year. It's the shame. And I had to learn this the hard way. I've been doing this since I was 14. I'm 32 now, and I've only sort of just been doing this right for the past couple of years. Hence why I'm making these videos. I'm thinking, crikey, if I watched a video that explained these basics with no BS, without going, oh, you know, buy this protein stack and here's my workout plan, because that's what most people on YouTube are selling you. I just want to cut through the bullshit and go, right, here's what to do. Have a go at it. So with all that being said, free nutritional blueprint to get you set up on those numbers. Workout plans, don't overcomplicate it. You know, train every muscle group from every angle you can, and then if an area is lagging, give it more volume, more attention. Simple as that. Now, if you are watching this and you're really stuck, or you just want some help, or you've kind of been skinny fat for longer than you want, or what you've been doing hasn't been working, you're just thinking, I'm so fed up of this and I want to make a change this year and I want to be in shape before summer, then I can definitely help you out. I have a link in my bio so you can book a call with me. It's not a sales call, it's just a chat to see if I can actually help you. Or you can message me on Instagram at Elite Transformation Project. Either way, if you want to work with me one-to-one, there will be spaces open around this time of year, so you can drop me a message. If you're watching this outside of January, February time, I might not have spaces, but either way, if you click the link, it will tell you if there's any spaces. So if you want some one-to-one help with me, you can book a call. And if you do work with me and you don't like it, I always give a money back guarantee, because most coaches are crap and I want to make sure you get what you want from this. So that being said, any questions, drop a comment, make sure you hit like and subscribe. I should have said that at the beginning so people actually see the video. If this video was helpful, let me know. If you disagree, that's fine. Drop a comment. I'm here just to help, give out as much information and help you as much as possible. And if you like the idea of that, if you're struggling with skinny fat and you want to build the best physique naturally, hit subscribe.